Hi, and welcome to Women's Radio 2 and the WR channel in the WR network. So today, once again, I'm with Christine Baumgartner, and we have a great topic for you guys. It's called gossip versus reporting. And I'm just going to let Christine take it away.
Always such a treat to talk to you, Pat. Thank you. I think that's a very valuable subject because I think a lot of people don't even know there's a difference or think about a difference or want to know there's a difference. What I find for me is I feel different inside depending on what my motive is for saying something. Because I think a lot of times we have an agenda for why we're saying something. And I know that I don't feel my best self when I'm gossiping. And it's certainly not that I haven't been a gossip in my life. I've become more conscious of it now, certainly presenting the subject too. So one of my heroes, and it turns out it's one of Pat's as well, is Byron Katie. And what she talks about is doing the work. And the work is deciding that everything you believe, everything you say, the things that you share in the world is the truth. That's the first step. And the second step, is it really the truth? Have you really researched? Have you really checked it out? Is it really the truth? And then the third thing is it helpful? Is this going to be helpful to say this? And is it, what was the fourth one?
Kind.
Kind. See, I knew you'd remember. Is it kind? Is there kindness behind it? Is there kindness in your intention? Is it going to be received
Right.
in your best way, because you really have no control over other people, in a kind way? And some of the other things I was thinking about is that who's it going to be helpful for? So if we go back to that one, I think that's a really important one. Is it helpful for the person that you're telling it to? Or is it helpful about the person that you're telling it about? Is it helpful for you? And how is it helpful for you? Is it going to make you feel like you did something good that helped people? Or was it that you wanted to get back at somebody or take somebody down a notch or say something that put them in a not the best light, that slanted you in a better light? I think that's all part of gossiping for sure.
I think you're right.
And part of the gossiping, when you go back to the truth part, is if you heard it from somebody else, that doesn't mean it's the truth. My mother once told me, if you don't tell anybody a secret, you know everybody who knows it. Because as soon as you tell one person, they have their best friend to tell, and that best friend has their best friend to tell. And pretty soon you have no idea who knows this thing that you thought was a precious secret. So when I worked in a company of 350 people, I learned very quickly who was the person to tell something that I wanted a whole bunch of people to find out, because it would be good for them to find out. And it was amazing how fast that would happen in the whole company.
Mm-hmm.
And I certainly learned to never tell them anything I didn't want the whole company to learn. And I think that goes under the heading of gossip as well. So I think the reporting part, if we switch over to that, if there's something harmful to a person or the organization, first you have to find out, is it the truth? And is it really the truth? And is it going to be helpful? And is it kind to tell this? Then absolutely it falls under the heading of reporting. And boy, we've seen it in the past and even more now, where people who whistleblowers, that's the term that's used, aren't always rewarded for doing it, even when it had all those 4 criteria behind it. I cannot not do it, though. It's been my lot in life that when I've fulfilled all those 4 quotas, that I'll go say something, and it's really been all over the board how it's been received. And afterwards, even though I personally didn't always have a great outcome, I felt fine about having said it. And when I've said things that were more gossipy and not very helpful and were a little harmful, I didn't feel very good afterwards. So I think if you pay attention inside to how do you feel about thinking about saying it, as you're saying it, and then in reflection after. So I think it's such a balance in how you initially, why do you need to say this? Why is it important for you to be the person? Did you witness something? Do you see something and you've told the other person, wow, you really need to go say something and they can't? Then maybe it's going to be your job to go say it. And you tell them you're going to go say something. That's the other. So there's been, since I am a dating and relationship coach, I've certainly been confronted a couple of times with somebody who knew somebody so they have a friend who they knew that the spouse was having an affair. And they'd say, what do you think I should do about it? I feel really bad because I really care about my friend and I really feel I should tell them. And I said, it's really none of your business, really. And yes, your friend could be really mad later that you didn't say anything. I said, the thing that I have fallen back on, because it's only happened to me personally once, is I went to the person that was having the affair and I said, I really think it's important that they know. And I'm giving you first shot at it. So next week, I'm going to learn, did you say anything or not? And if you don't, I'm going to have to say something because it's really bothering me. And they did. They went and said something. I know.
And I'm curious, how did it all turn out?
Well, in that case, it was really interesting. There were really, both sides were feeling neglected. And they made up and stayed married, and it was better. It took a while because of the betrayal. And what was really interesting is the other part of the spouse. I'm not even going to talk about what kind of sex it was, who was who, because it's just somebody I know personally. To own, yeah, I see my part. There's never excuse. I mean, if you think you're going to go outside your marriage to have an emotional affair or a physical affair, you really need to say something. You need to go get counseling together, or if it isn't going to work, then leave. I mean, that doesn't work for everybody. There's a whole website now for people that are married and want to have somebody on the side. And there's a woman that coaches
Really
about it.
remarkable.
But if it's not my business, it's so not my business because they're not my
It's the
people.
opposite of your business.
It's so the opposite. It's because there's the other thing you say, is it my business? Is it their business? Is it God's business? That's the other reason to decide,
Oh, interesting. Yes.
do I have to really say something? And because I cared about both of them a lot, but the one that was having the affair, not knowing about it, was somebody I'd known for such a long time. And I said, it's keeping me up at night. It's bothering me that they don't know. So they said, and they ended up staying together, and I was really impressed. And now their marriage is so much better because they're both now being more involved in their commitment to their partnership and not leaving. So there's lots of reasons that people cheat, but that could be a whole nother topic. So I think thinking about what's your personal reason, and is it really your place? And is there something you need to say to somebody else first? I've stuck up for people at work. I've stuck up for children. And I've said something when it was safe to the person in charge. I said something. I have to say something. I can't not, but I think it's going to be the best for everybody. It wasn't received very well, but I did it. And I have no regrets. I have no regrets for having done it. I think it was really important. So I don't want to think, oh my gosh, I only do the right thing. No. And I'm all holier than thou. No, I have stuck my foot in my mouth, both feet in my mouth a couple of times, sometimes been kind of sorry that I said something that I did that was thoughtless and uncaring and kind of bitchy and selfish of me saying. It's not very often because I feel so yucky when it's starting to come out of my mouth, but I've done it. I've really done it. So I understand the temptation when you're hurt and you're frustrated and you just want to hurt the other person back. It's hard. Lots of people do that in their marriages. And that's when you really have to think a second time. When you feel that you're going to say something that you could never take back, please walk away and cool off set a timer for 10 minutes or 15 minutes and then come back. Because what happens is when I coach people and I'll say, think about it for 24 hours. See if it still feels just as important in 24 hours. Because I'll tell you, there's a lot of stuff that doesn't feel as big 24 hours later. The other thing I've had people think about is, what a difference is this going to make in 5 years? If you really think about this thing that you want to talk about or say, what difference is it going to make in 5 years? It's going to make a big difference. Say something like I did about the child. If it isn't going to make a big difference in 5 years, then maybe don't say anything, especially if it's not going to be in the most kind manner, in the most
Yeah,
helpful
I
manner.
think that there's a lot to say for that too. I really, I know what you mean. I do things that I think, oh, Pat, you're just really not that kind of person. Why are you acting like that? So I guess we all give ourselves lectures, but uh, I think one story you told was about how someone was treating a child. That really bothers me when I see
Yeah.
mothers being mean to their children in front of other people, like in a grocery store, something like that. And it's just like you could tell it's almost like their common practice. But even if you choose to say something, not really, I think they ought to give courses on it. It would be nice to be able to do it in a way where that other person that was doing that damage is what I think of it as, could be told in a way that would really touch that person's heart and get them to think and then act differently in the future. Now, I don't think I have those golden words very often, but I do think that really is the goal, is to say something in a way that that person gets it, that it's not only inappropriate, it is hurting everybody, particularly that child.
Yep. So I have been in that situation. That's a very different situation than the one I was talking about.
Yes.
But in that situation, what I said was to the mom, wow, you must be having a really hard day.
Mhm.
And she stopped. I said, what can I do? Right now, this minute, what could I do? I
Mhm.
hold a package, hold your kid, get you a drink, some water. She stopped and she said, and she told me about her day. And oh my God, it was a really
Horrific.
hard day.
Mhm.
Yes, absolutely. So the thing that I decide until I know different, because I'm pretty perceptive, is maybe there's a good reason. We have no idea what's going on in other people's lives. We have no idea what's happened an hour or 5 hours or the day before.
Yes, it's true.
After my husband died, and I took a friend with me the first time I went to Costco because it was one of our favorite things to do together, my husband and I walked past the prescription window and I'd had somebody else, I called and they let me have somebody pick up our prescriptions because Tony took a lot of medicines and we were there a lot and they went and I just went, oh yeah, I can't even look. But they were like, and so can't do that right now, but thank you. Because I mean, I'm walking through the store in this horrible fog, but I really needed it. It'd been like 2 or 3 weeks, and I told my girlfriend, okay, this is my next outing. I need to go do this. And you don't know. You have no idea when you're walking past somebody at Costco or standing by them at the gas
Right
station,
on.
or they're going slowly in front of you on the street that, they just could have gotten bad news or they are feeling a health crisis. You really
Right.
don't know. So in
Right.
that situation, unless they look violent, then I'd be not doing that. I just go, wow, looks really hard. Looks really hard. I mean, just have somebody acknowledge how
That
you must be
has
feeling in your
empathy.
body. Yeah, I think that that's
Yes.
always the place to start. And then if they scream at me, okay, I'm done. I'll call an
Well,
authority. I won't be
re
getting in the middle of that.
returning to your discussion about couples and so forth, and I will tell this tale. No one's around. No thanks. But I was told information about my first husband. Had I known the information early, it I probably could have done more things to save that company. It affected the company.
Mm.
And but it wouldn't have made any difference in the relationship. So in the long run, I don't know why they bothered to tell me at all. You know?
See, is it helpful? There's the criteria. Yeah. Is it helpful? Is it helpful to know it now? Because I've had people say, gosh, I had an affair when we were engaged, or, before, right when we were dating. And I go, what's the benefit? Maybe you're going to assuage your conscience. There's no benefit to your relationship. Really? I mean, did you have blood tests? Is there anything you're going to give her or him? No. Then shush up. So
Right.
wasn't this a fun topic?
It's a really,
And since
really
people are going
good
to be together for the holidays, maybe it'll curb some gossiping, right? We can only hope. We're doing a public service here.
Well, is this the last time we're going to see each other before?
No,
Or
one more. We'll
one
talk
more?
next
Okay.
week, and then we will be gone for 2 weeks.
Okay. So everybody, so please do join us next week. We'll try. Well, Christine's already in the season and I need to get with it a little bit, but we'll try and show up in our most festive attire and talk about happy things, maybe.
Yes. I
Yeah.
think I'll wear green and we'll talk about happy stuff with green.
Okay, great. All right. Well, this has been fun as always and really, really, I think very useful, very useful. Thank you so
That's-
much, Christine.
You're so welcome, Pat. It's always a pleasure. Thank you.
We'll see you again next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.